Hello, I'm Wes Turnbull and welcome to Freemasons The Inside Story. In this episode we visit Melbourne Youth Music and we meet Freemasons Peter Harris, who raise funds to purchase footballs for FIDA, an Aussie rules football league for people with an intellectual disability.
Hi, we're here today at the Lower Plenty Oval. With me is Logan Whittaker from FIDA. Hi Logan, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So Logan, can you tell us a little bit about FIDA and its history?
Yeah, absolutely. So FIDA is a football league for people with an intellectual disability. It's been around for 23 years. It was started out of the Hawthorn Football Club with the then Hawthorn City Council. Started as just a come and try day to give players with an intellectual disability an opportunity to have a kick of the footy, and it's grown over the last 23 years. So now we've got 24 teams, just over 500 players that play every weekend throughout the footy season.
Now, I understand that the AFL has also gotten on board and has joined a relationship with FIDA. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
My first day working for FIDA 18 months ago now was our first day where we moved into the AFL Victoria head office, which is fantastic. We've got the support of the broader AFL community now. We're front of mind with other program areas. We've got access to more resources and we're better able to support our players and provide an opportunity for them to play footy. Also this year with our National Carnival, the AFL have come on board and they're running for the first time a National Inclusion Carnival. So we've got states from all around Australia coming into Melbourne for 4 days to play in the first ever National Inclusion Carnival, which is fantastic. So we hope to see that grow and that relationship flourish over the next couple of years.
Wonderful. And perhaps you can decode and just fill us in on what FIDA stands for.
Absolutely. So FIDA is Football Integration Development Association, and that the reason behind the name, although I wasn't there 23 years ago when it all started, but that integration is a really key point. What we try to do is get our players up to a level where they can integrate into other aspects of football, of life. What we do at FIDA is so much more than just getting out there and having a kick. We try to support our players to get jobs, to if they're looking for housing, that sort of thing, to put them through some basic courses to upskill them. And that integration, that social integration, is a real key part of what we try to do.
And what would you say from your experience is the greatest impact for these participants in FIDA?
That social inclusion is huge. For a lot of these guys that are out here today, and with a lot of our other clubs, football's all they've got. They don't have a lot of structure in their lives. A lot of them don't work, they don't go to school. Once at home, they might just sit on the couch and drink beers and watch footy, but we've got an opportunity for them to come and play football now, and being a part of a club, making them feel like they've got somewhere to go, somewhere to be, make them feel important, have a sense of belonging. I think that's definitely the most important part.
Now, last year, Colin Newcomb, one of the umpires from Williamstown, started a campaign called Footballs for FIDA. I understand that he raised funds for 145 footballs being donated to the league. Can you tell us a little bit about the impact that that's had?
Yeah, that initiative that Cole came up with last year has had a huge impact on our league. It all started, I went down to a training session at one of our clubs and had a kick with their guys and realised that they were kicking around these old, waterlogged, terrible footballs that no team should be playing footy with. And the very next day, just by chance, I was in at work talking to Cole and I mentioned what had happened. I mentioned I was at training the night before and I think these clubs need to get better footies. We weren't in a position where we were able to fund all our clubs to have new footballs. And so Cole sort of goes, I can do this. Let me talk to a few people and we'll get some footies donated. And by the end of the year, he'd done such a monster effort. He had 145 footballs donated from all different donors, and the Freemasons Victoria being one of the biggest ones. The impact that's had on clubs is pretty profound. they've all got footies to train with now. They've all got a brand new bag of footies that they can go out and kick around. They don't have to use the waterlogged old crappy footies that the senior clubs donated from 3 years ago. They've got brand new footies, and they're out there experiencing what every other football club would experience, and training with footies that they can kick more than 20 metres because it's not waterlogged.
That's wonderful. Well, it looks like a wonderful league, and the players are certainly enthusiastic. Thank you so much for having us here today. With me is Peter Harris, past district coordinator for the Northern District. Hi Peter, thanks for joining us.
Thanks Erin, good to be with you.
So Peter, can you tell us how you first became acquainted with FIDA?
Yes, I can. My son-in-law Colin Newcomb trained with the AFL umpires back in the 90s, and he's still keen to umpire where and when he can, and one of the activities that he was undertaking last year was umpiring down at Williamstown with the FIDA organisation. And he was telling me one day about a rather emotional day that he had, where a young player that was awarded a free kick defending the goals decided that the best thing he could do was to kick the ball through the goals and feel rather happy about it. So Colin gave him a free kick and on went the game. But this youngster talked all day for the rest of the game about how he'd kicked the goal, and wasn't it wonderful? And Colin was so moved by that and the standard of play. I could see how he was so enthusiastic about the activity that he was undertaking, and I thought perhaps we can do something to help.
And so being the district coordinator at the time, how did you get together with the lodges in that area and get behind FIDA?
Getting the lodges to undertake some fundraising wasn't difficult, I guess, because the lodges in the Northern District, like everywhere else, are fairly big on charity and benevolence, and they do lots and lots of things in their local communities. And Colin had an idea to perhaps buy some footballs for FIDA, which was the campaign that he established, and update their equipment. And because the cost wasn't great, we thought maybe we can get some simple fundraising done with the lodges in the district and buy some new footballs for the players.
And so what was the outcome of that initiative or the campaign within the Northern District?
Well, it was limited, I guess, because we undertook it over a couple of months only. We didn't have a long time to get it planned and to get the lodges involved, but they did their best. And at the outcome of the exercise, with the help of our Board of Benevolence, we managed to donate just in excess of $1,200 to Colin for FIDA, for the footballs. And I think the FIDA organisation, I know, and Colin in particular, were just overjoyed with the result.
Peter, there seems to be a few similarities between FIDA and Freemasonry's core values. Can you maybe explain some of those to us?
Yes, that's fairly easy to do, I guess, because Freemasonry has amongst their core values to improve one's performances, I guess, generally, and to exercise excellence in all pursuits and develop friendships. And when I looked at the FIDA organisation from the information that I was able to get from Col, I could see a lot of those things in the competition, and when I witnessed a game I could see all of that coming into play, and I thought this is a good fit between the connection between our Northern District lodges and Freemasonry and the players in the FIDA competition. So it really wasn't hard to draw those similarities, and it's so very important to Freemasons, and I know for a fact that it's very, very important for the players in the FIDA competition.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us today, Peter.
Well, it's been a fantastic experience, and we're going to have a good game to watch, aren't we? That's fantastic.
Certainly are. Thanks.
We're back again with David Bloom and David Thompson, the Grand Chaplains of Freemasons Victoria, to explore further the misconception that Freemasonry is a religion. Welcome back.
Good evening.
Thank you.
Turning now to you, David Thompson. In Freemasonry there is a lot of symbolism, and in the middle of a lodge room, suspended from the ceiling, is the letter G. and that's consistent with all lodge rooms around Victoria and for that matter around the world. What does that G represent?
It represents the Supreme Being, which is the very point on which we ask all Freemasons to accept as members of the order.
You didn't refer to it as God?
No, because we're anxious that it's clear to people that it spans, or that it doesn't conflict with anybody's concept of God or any other supreme being for that matter.
Yet in different ceremonies within Freemasonry it has different names to which it's referred. Often we hear reference to the great architect of the universe, or the grand geometrician of the universe, or the Most High. Are these terms used to confuse, or are they used to enhance and reinforce that principle that there is a universality to all faiths and religions within Freemasonry?
It's very much the latter. But again, it's a way of reinforcing that the concept is broad enough to embrace men of a number of faiths.
So given that we've established, David Bloom, that there is this universality of faith and background that can be accepted into Freemasonry, it's acknowledged that members that enter and become Freemasons obligate themselves in certain ceremonies to uphold certain principles, and that obligation is taken on the Bible. Isn't that a Catholic book?
Well, actually, the obligation can be taken on what we call the volume of the sacred law, which can actually be a number of different books or volumes according to the beliefs of the particular candidate. So, for instance, in the case, my case, it would be a copy of the Old Testament. In the case of a Muslim, it might be, for instance, a Qumran, etc. So it's the volume of the sacred law that's important, and the contents of those underpin those obligations and the moral standing.
So there could be a number of volumes open within a lodge representative of the member's particular faith or belief?
Yes, certainly. We would often have one central volume open, but the candidate will use their often own personal book, which they often keep and have inscribed later on to identify that was the book under which they took that obligation.
David Thompson, coming back to the letter G, it's in the centre of the room. Does that have any significance from a faith or religious point of view?
I would think, let's just say that for Freemasons, the fact that it's in the centre of the room indicates the centrality of its place in Masonic belief and ritual.
We work around this principle of faith, belief and trust.
Yes.
And this is the symbol that holds out those principles to our members and is prominently displayed.
Indeed.
So David, given that we've established that Freemasonry is not inconsistent with the daily lives and beliefs of its members, how do you use Freemasonry in your daily life?
Well, as I said earlier, I think this underscores the principles and the ethics that we try to live by in our daily lives, in our interactions with other people, and particularly with our interactions with other Freemasons. It bonds us together in an understanding that we do all have this core of ethics and morals that enable us to determine how we should act in regard to free society.
And David Thompson, how does that sit with you?
I find that in fact it reminds us that Freemasons aim to make good men better, and from my point of view, both for my faith as I practice it as a Christian, but as also as a Freemason, that's a constant reminder as to where we should be aiming in terms of the standards we set for ourselves and the principles that we observe.
David, thank you once again for being with us at Freemasons The Inside Story to talk a little about your experiences within Freemasonry and the consistency with Freemasonry and a man's beliefs.
Thanks, Peter. It was a pleasure.
Hi, I'm Gabrielle Forman, and today I'm at the School of Music with MYM's Dorian Jones, Chief Executive Officer. How are you, Dorian?
Well, thanks, Gabrielle.
Dorian, tell us a little bit about your background and what drew you to working with MYM.
Well, I've been with MYM for about 3 months now, and prior to that I was working in community cultural development in a number of local government authorities, so at Manningham Council and Stonington Council. So my background there's really been around managing cultural venues, so theatres, community arts centres, galleries and community events, so all the sort of range of cultural events that councils typically present. So, and then prior to that I worked in some other theatre venues while I was doing my music degree at university. So I sort of studied music and I continue to play music today. I play jazz double bass as a hobby, and then outside of work I'm a father of a 3-year-old boy, Lenny. And so I guess coming to work at MYM, it's really married all of those interests together. So it's children, music and my own management experience.
Fantastic. So you're still playing an instrument professionally?
Not professionally, no. No, I play for fun when I can. So with a 3-year-old boy, it's not that much time, but whenever I get a chance, I get the double bass out and play jazz.
About 15 minutes ago, this area was absolutely consumed by children. What was happening today?
Well, today, like 32 Saturdays of the year, we have around 400 children who come into here. We're housed here in the School of Music at Victorian College of the Arts, and they participate in 7 orchestral ensembles. So we have ensembles for young people aged from 8 up to around 25, and it's opportunities for them to play music in very high standard ensembles and to play repertoire which wouldn't be available to them in their school bands or community bands around Victoria. So kids come from all over the state to come here.
And what does the year have ahead for you?
We've got a couple of exciting projects coming up. We're sending 57 young musicians from Melbourne Youth Orchestra to New Zealand in a few weeks. So they're going to Christchurch to perform Mahler's Second Symphony, which is a resurrection symphony and which relates to the rebuilding of Christchurch after the devastating earthquakes there. So that piece of music calls for large orchestral forces. So Melbourne Youth Orchestra will be joining forces with the Christchurch Symphony Orchestra to perform Mahler's Second Symphony, actually in an aircraft hangar in Christchurch, which needs to be, they take out 8 airplanes and sort of fit out the entire aircraft hangar for that concert. So it will be an amazing experience for those kids. And as alongside that, we'll be sending a film crew along, so they'll be filming the children's experience or the young people's experience and the concert. And then that's scheduled for broadcast at Federation Square in August. And then we have a number of other sort of concerts to round out the year, our usual ensemble concerts, which we have 4 full days a year at Deakin Edge at Federation Square, where all of the ensembles perform. And then developing next year's program is really big.
Well, I look forward to all of these concerts that sound like they're going to be absolutely incredible. Thank you so much for your time, Dorian, and best of luck with your new role at MYM.
Thanks very much.
I believe that violin is it's a very beautiful instrument and it's very hard, and I love hard challenges, and it's a very nice sound.
What's the difference between a viola and a violin?
Probably the tuning. The 2 differences is the viola has a C string and no E string, and the violin has an E string, and they're both different sizes.
The orchestra's more fun because then we can hear the intonation and it's just beautiful.
I just love music. I've got an older brother and sister, and they also play the piano, and so I've just been surrounded by music my whole life, and it's wonderful. I love it.
Originally, when I first got my trombone, I used to go to a school and they'd pick it for me. The whole class voted which ones, and I just thought that, oh, I'm really good at this trombone, why not take it further? So that's why I still do trombone to this day.
I always love that feeling of being in an orchestra. There's so much sound around you, and it's just amazing being around all those instruments. And
I wanted to play the trumpet because I prefer the sound of the trumpet to like other instruments, and especially the woodwind instruments. I prefer the brass instruments.
I actually play the guitar and the piano and the violin, so I just found I like all music, and this is the way that I can get into classical, so that's why I chose the violin.
I like to play the drums.
The drums? So what's so inspiring about the drums?
As I get to know my brother. The best part about continuing on is you'll know that you'll get better and you'll keep on moving up, and then you might get into the John Antle band.
I'm at the School of Music today with Michelle Forbes, the Artistic Planning Manager for Melbourne Youth Music. Hi Michelle, how are you going?
Good, Gab, how are you?
So Michelle, what does it actually mean to be an Artistic Planning Manager?
Well, it's a bit of a role change for me. This year I have been in the past overseeing the programs that we present. Now I'm also very excited to be planning them as well. So in conjunction with our various conductors, they are the authority on what they do, so why not utilise their experience? We put together a program that really ticks all the boxes for educational development of young musicians, and it also means that I sort of seek out venues that will be a really great opportunity for our kids to perform in, and repertoire that just really challenges and extends the kids, and great people to work with.
So it's like an events manager role?
Kind of, but a lot more of the big picture sort of thing to make sure that we are covering everything that we need to be providing for everybody in the whole program.
And what do you find most inspiring about your work with MYM?
Wow, I'd have to say the kids, they're amazing. To see them come out of rehearsals and they're just buzzing. They really enjoy the time that they spend with their conductors and in the ensembles, making friends, and then what they actually put up in a concert, you can see the improvement. It's tangible, it's incredible, and they're just inspirational.
And sometimes these kids have tutors next to them, is that correct?
That is correct. It's a really exciting part of the program. They don't just work with an amazing conductor and come together as a group of friends every week. They also get some time with tutors who are real specialists on their instrument. They can give them a little bit more individual focused attention and sort of inspire them more through their own playing and how to breathe even and how to watch a conductor. It's, yeah, that at a special level.
Michelle, the last time that we spoke to you, we spoke about the Star Wars performance, and apparently that was fantastic. Tell us a little bit about how that went.
Oh my goodness, it was amazing. Such a great vibe in the audience that day. We brought together about 100 performers. We had not just Melbourne Youth Orchestra on stage doing the music of Star Wars, but we also brought in the Royal Melbourne Philharmonic Choir and also actors from two warring factions, if you will, the 501st Legion and Hoth Base, who are Imperial forces and Rebel forces accordingly. But it was amazing. We had a little cantina band as well as part of an interval function, and there was such an electric buzz in the whole day. It was brilliant.
I saw photos that our Grand Master actually dressed up for the occasion. Did you dress up as well?
Given I had to be on stage for a portion of it, I couldn't, but I did doff my hat. I had a tribute Princess Leia hairdo.
Fantastic. Well, I wish you all the best in the future for this year, and I'm sure that we'll hear about all of the concerts coming up shortly. Thank you.
Thanks very much for having me.
Thanks for joining us. To find out more about Freemasonry, visit the Freemasons Victoria website at www.freemasonsvic.net.au or phone us on 1800 Freemason. You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, Flickr, LinkedIn and Google+. Next week on Freemasons The Inside Story, we visit the Freemasons Victoria Quarterly Communication. See you then.